Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red
Hello, brother
dress.
Trabant.
Call
Hello, brother Tito.
Wow, what can you see here? What is this?
There is a cross on the right, so in the middle must be a portrait of our Lord Jesus,
Right, but we
I
can see
presume.
Yesu has been replaced with someone else. And this was put up in the home of someone. So obviously they had to replace it. I think we will find a possible answer at the bottom of the article of what might have been in its place. But have a look at the headline here. What are portraits
Uh-huh.
of Mao and Xi or lose welfare allowance? So they
What?
it seems like these people are being pressured to
The
do
blackmail,
something.
the blackmailing
Yes, yes,
people
yes.
to remove religious
And let's see.
portraits.
Yes, there they are. Yes, here are portraits of both Mao and Xi. Yeah. Like I don't know,
Wow.
Marx and Engels or Marx and Lenin.
All right.
And I think down here at the bottom we see a kind of a larger original, right? We see Jesus with the lamps and a red cross in the center.
Yeah, it's like the traditional Chinese like a decoration for churches, the colors and the flowers
As
and
well as homes, you know. Chinese people might have this kind of this style of decorations in their homes. They could have Buddhist decorations if they're Buddhist, or maybe from any religion. But yeah, the style is very Chinese. The cross is red as well because red is supposed to be a good color.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Right.
but we go back to the top. It
So what the heck?
literally says Comrade Xi Jinping in the center.
I wonder if the people are praying to him or why? What was the point?
No, they just had to replace it. They didn't replace the signs here. It's still says
Still.
something. Bless our Lord, and the cross is still there. So it's a kind of a very weird
This is so
effect.
surreal. It's
Yes, it
just
unbelievable.
like a, yeah, shocking. What the CCP is totally losing it. I mean, they are forcing people to replace the
But
religious symbol.
this has been not the same way for a long time. So in that case, the CCP has been losing it for a while, or rather, the effort has been kind of half-assed. I guess it's good enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also
It's,
also the I guess the clock to fill the rest of the empty space.
yeah.
Time
Oh,
is coming.
yeah, maybe time is up.
Although
Maybe it's like a
the
sex.
brand is Jinping, not Jinping, like Xi Jinping's name. But yeah, so, I mean, these are really strange curiosities. Well,
Mhm.
this is a visual representation of what has been happening with religion actually in China's borders for a long time. For China has even historically always tried to exert control and influence over religion within its borders.
Before Xi Jinping, there were no portraits of Chinese presidents in the churches.
That's that's
It
that's
started.
that's that that's that's the new and weird part.
It started with
Yes.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
Started with Xi Jinping.
I
This is
wouldn't be surprised if they had Mao in the 1950s or something.
no, I don't think so.
Good
No, I
question.
don't think
Yeah.
so. No, I don't think so. It started like in 2015 when Xi Jinping decided that he will take control over everything. He will control people's thoughts, like in the novel 1984. Thinking what the people think, how they basically he must be in center of everything.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because this has not been limited to visual representations.
Hmm.
Let's have a look at this story. Yeah. This is about this I guess a retelling of the story from the Bible. Let's give it a go.
Chinese authorities
Okay.
have changed the ending of a Bible story. The story claims Jesus is a sinner and even that he killed a woman. This as China is expected to renew a deal with the Vatican.
What? What? If you look at the handbook here, it says 职业道德与法律. So this is
Yeah.
professional. 道德 would roughly translate to ethics, and 法律 is supposed to be law. So this is, I guess some kind of a handbook for law students or something related to that.
Okay.
Okay, well let's see what
Vatican.
happened.
NTD's Juliet Song has more on that.
China and the Vatican are reportedly about to renew a historic deal. That's as a Chinese textbook has been found to paint Jesus as a murderer. In the original Bible story, a woman was about to be stoned for committing adultery, but Jesus stepped in, pardoning her sin and letting her go. But the Chinese textbook describes a different ending. It says when the crowd receded, Jesus stoned the woman to death, saying, "I too am a sinner. But if the law could only be executed by men without blemish, the law would be dead." The textbook is used by vocational school students. It teaches professional ethics and law and has been approved by a review committee under China's education ministry. The discovery comes as the Chinese regime and the Vatican are reportedly about to extend the deal. It was signed 2 years ago and allows both Beijing and the Pope to appoint bishops in China. China is home to about 12 million Catholics. They're split into two groups, state-run and underground. Pastors in the country's state-run associations are appointed by the communist regime. State-run associations reject the Pope's authority, while underground Catholics recognize it and are often persecuted for it. But under the deal, the Pope has final say about the appointment of bishops in China and is recognized as the leader of the church. After it was signed, the Pope also recognized 7 clergies previously ordained by the communist regime. Some conservative critics consider the approval a sellout to the communist regime. The deal is about to expire next month, and U.S. is calling the Vatican to abandon it. In an editorial, Pompeo wrote that human rights conditions for religious believers have deteriorated amid the deal.
So you can see this is kind of an exchange that I suppose has been reached between the Vatican and with China. Okay, we will let you appoint some bishops if we get to appoint them first. Is basically what I'm getting here. What do you think?
I think that China is holding hostages,
It
and the hostages for the Vatican are the Catholics in China. There are officially there are like 3 million Catholics, I mean for years. Probably there are many more. And 5 million underground Catholics. And it's not like it's like illegal. The party, the police is monitoring these Catholics. But anytime they can start repression against them. They can just go and arrest them.
Yeah,
So far they are just
or have their freedom of belief be limited by, let's say, replacing the pictures of Jesus
Yeah,
with
but they are
someone else.
so-called home Catholics or underground Catholics. They don't recognize the Catholic Patriotic Church, officially named,
Exactly. So
So
this comes back to a couple of things. For example, I think in most socialist countries, a church would be the church in the country. A church in the country would be subordinate to a central governmental organization. And actually, in China, this has preceded the Communist Party. This has been to an extent with some religions, back in during the Qing Dynasty and probably perhaps before that.
yeah, yeah, this is the, I would say, communist specialty. Like officially,
Maybe a little bit more because yeah, although it's very ironic that communism would try to tell the religious leaders what to do and what not to do.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
they have to control everything. Because officially there are 5 churches, or they are recognized by the law.
right.
There are Catholics, Protestants, there
So
are
Christians have, for some
Islam.
inexplicable reason, been divided into 2 branches, and the Orthodox kind of
Right.
left out completely.
And
What
they
a mess!
renamed them. Like, this is not just Catholic Church, it's Catholic Patriotic Church. And it's not Protestant or Protestantism. All the Protestant affiliations fall under the name of Protestantism. And they are called officially they are called the three self churches.
I like this
Three
self name in that, that is.
It's under the three self principles to establish indigenous churches, like self-governance, self-support, and the self-propagation. That's what I call three self
Yes.
churches.
Yes.
But that's Protestant church.
So
So every Protestant in China goes to one Protestant church that is official, and they just celebrate, together. Catholics go to Catholic church, and all the Protestants go together to one church, right?
the point is, these are governmental organizations. They get to appoint the clergy. That's the whole point. And yet,
Yeah, but appointing clergy, it's like China is making no compromises.
Yeah.
They appoint the bishops, and then, then they should be excommunicated. All the bishops, according to the Catholic law, should be excommunicated. But they are not. Then they
there's the
go to
but,
the
yeah.
then they go to Vatican, and the Vatican, the Pope says, because only Pope can name or appoint new bishops. And the Pope goes like, okay, is this bishop at least a little bit okay? If he's just a little bit okay, he approves him, because otherwise the China could start these big repressions against the underground Catholics, who the underground Catholics don't recognize this self or government appointed bishops, and they are right.
I mean, there is some overlap, but yeah, it's
there is an
essentially
overlap.
that.
But for example, like I know, I mean, I don't personally, but I saw many times, like a foreign priest who's been working here for many years, and everybody says, hey, he's working with the underground Catholics. But time to time, he comes to the official church, and he celebrates mass with the Chinese official priest.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
know about each other. They just don't go after them because they don't have to, right?
If I mean, if they listen to him to a certain extent, then
Yeah, they don't do anything wrong. They don't protest.
yes, that's
They celebrate mass behind closed doors, which is very important in China. You don't go in public. You don't go on the streets. But this what is shocking, that in 2019, Chinese Communist Party decided to rewrite the scriptures. Echo-
so.
They are still undergoing efforts to rewrite the whole Bible. So it's been going on for like 4 years now. So far, the new Bible hasn't been published yet. I hope it never will be. but the only thing we have from the Bible
Would
is
be
this,
interesting, yes.
this gospel according to John that we just heard in the video.
Right. So yeah,
Okay, so
it's about the same, but the ending changes the story completely.
absolutely, completely, yeah. Jesus kills this sinner, while in Bible, Jesus asked her like, where are those that accused you, woman? And she said, oh, they are gone. So
Yeah, I mean, I understand that.
Jesus,
Okay, law is law, but this is law and ethics. But okay, professional. So if it's for vocational,
yeah, Jesus says,
I don't
neither
know, man.
do I. You
This
now
is-
go and live your life live your life of sin. But in the communist scriptures, Jesus kills the woman and says, I am also a sinner. So basically, God, because Jesus is also a God, right? He's 100% God, 100% human.
So God's no
He
sinner.
can, he has no sin. How can God be a sinner? This makes no sense.
I don't think the authors of this really understood the story. It seems like they just wanted to like grab something from different culture and let's use this to teach ethics, but just write it a little bit different or I don't know.
Reminds me of the joke. Remember the joke? Basically the same thing happens. Jesus says, let anyone who is without sin cast the first stone at this woman.
Right.
And suddenly there is silence, right? And suddenly, all at once, a small stone comes flying from the back of the crowd, right? Aiming at the head of the woman. Jesus promptly catches it. Looking at the lady standing in the crowd, Jesus says, Mother, really? I was trying to make a point here. So because Mary was born without a sin, right?
Oh, I get it. Yes, yes.
Even Mary was born without a sin. That's what Catholics believe. So how can Jesus be born with a sin? Okay, so nonsense.
Yeah.
Communist bullshit. Yeah,
Someone didn't quite get the story. But wait, there's more. Let's
Okay.
have a look. Here we have the Christian church in Gangxi, and they also sing the national anthem. I guess.
Oh no.
Show a little more patriotism.
20届6月14日，港西教堂。
Gangxi Jiaotang, the Gangxi Church. Let's start together.
This is a Protestant church,
Uh huh.
and they have to sing it. They have no choice. They are forced to do that. Poor kids. They must be so confused. What the hell are we doing here?
No, I think they're used to this from school. So
They know that there's a lyrics to the song. Chilai, chilai, I don't know what.
So obviously this is supposed to they're supposed to put on a show to show the government or whatever local administration, yes, that they are supporting the government. That's
So
my
this,
take on it.
the government required to. They said the president. The government required us to raise the national flag and sing the national anthem, praising Xi Jinping's victory in fighting the pandemic. And the congregation member actually added like, this is completely contrary to our belief.
So that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's a good.
Okay, what? So this is Protestant Gangxi Christian
Okay.
Church. What about the Catholics?
Well,
Do they also have to sing that?
Let's take a look. Oh, they even have music. So this has been ordered by someone, it's you can see it going around. This wasn't just yeah. someone's own initiative, obviously.
It was 2020, June 14, when they finally opened the church. Probably it was closed shortly after because the lockdowns actually lasted for 2 more years after this. But they were forced to raise the flag again and praise, witnessing the fruits of all people working together under the leadership of Xi Jinping, who directs the government and the party.
There we go.
And they were supervised by government officials. And recorded, of course.
It's gotta, yeah. So this is supposed to be some kind of a show. It is ridiculous.
It's
Yes.
ridiculous. Yeah.
And then they're mentioning Chinese Communist Party.
也才有了我们今天能够升起鲜亮的金红。
Sermon.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes.
Jesus had
yes,
sermon.
yes.
So there was a
So this is one thing, but not only
Oh.
would they be adding or changing things, but let's get back to the removing, right? This happened some years ago, around 2000, what was it, 2014? On
Yeah, the same time. 14, 15.
on yeah.
The same time.
And this is the removal of crosses that were bigger than a certain given arbitrary length, right? And this order came relatively suddenly, like the crosses never bothered anyone before, yeah. But someone came up with the bright idea of removing the crosses, at least the big ones, next to some major communications, so that if there's a government delegation from Beijing, they don't see, kind of like a reverse Potemkin village. Not building something, but
Okay,
but
there are
taking
like
something
two-
down.
There are like 2 provinces in China, south of Beijing. One is Henan province, and it has one of the largest Christian population of East
We
Asia.
can
They believe to be like several million Christians in Henan. Most of them
Yeah.
attend Chinese house churches,
Right around
so
here.
underground church. Catholics probably. So also Henan is one of the largest Protestant population of the country. Many of the Protestants live in the rural area, right? So
see.
in 2004, hundreds house churches members arrested in Henan. So it's coming back and time to time, and when they get arrested. In the past, in 1925, many Christians were killed during the Boxer Rebellion. And there was the Presbyterian Church of Canada came. There was the first missionaries. Like we talk about these Mishkits, like the descendants of
Yes.
these missionaries became then
Yes,
ambassadors.
because they had some
Right.
cultural ties to
So,
China.
Right. And we also have this Anhui province, which is next to Henan, which is one of the largest Christian population in East Asia. One of the cities called like Jerusalem, probably because there are lots of
I
Protestants
see.
living there. If you were Catholics, they would be called Rome. So if there are no Catholics, they are called
Yeah.
Jerusalem. in Chinese Jerusalem. And they conducted like there's 30% of population unidentified as Christians. It's a huge population. So that was the reason why they targeted this
It
province.
was also in Zhejiang, but
And
kind of in this area, this vicinity.
Yeah, just young, yeah. So they just started removing all of a sudden all the crosses from the roofs.
The bigger,
the
more
churches.
visible ones. The kind of ones that stuck out more.
Yeah.
It's this. You can see it's either an extra
There was a-
visual display of something like the flag raising, or the extra visual removal of something like the crosses or pictures of Jesus.
There came directive. In Zhejiang 2014, directives came, and it was a 36-page directive sets out strict guidelines for where and how churches in Zhejiang can display crosses. And they said they must be placed on the facades of buildings, not above them. They must be of color that blends into the building, not one that stands
Too much.
out. And they must be small, no more than 1/10 the height of the
You,
building's
you see
facade.
how superficial this is?
They just
Yeah,
try
yeah.
to make them invisible.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. And it's always like the first step. Like I heard about this, like there was the pastor's wife who stood up to demolition of one of the churches.
There were incidents like
And
that.
yeah, we have the video of her, right? And she paid with her life. The pastor was also attacked by the bulldozer. They didn't stop demolishing the building, and he came out of the debris, and she didn't. She suffocated
is-
and died.
Horrible.
Yeah. Horrible, terrible. Horrible, terrible thing they are doing.
We'll come back to it, but what can we see? It doesn't just concern, this kind of a visual, superficial display of something or lack thereof, but it's obviously, it has affects people's lives as well.
This man in the picture is Cardinal Zen. He is the cardinal of the Hong Kong's Catholic community, and he is a very outspoken critic of the communist repressions. He is even kind of criticizing the Pope
I see.
for making deals with this terrible regime. Now he turned 91 years old this year, and during the Hong Kong arresting, during the national security,
Law demonstrations. Yeah.
during the protest,
All of that.
demonstrations in Hong Kong from 2020, 2019, he organized some relief, some funds that were paid for these imprisoned protesters. And he was also eventually imprisoned last year, and he was released on bail. So he's like serving this sentence at
Okay,
home.
or he still might have a trial, or I mean,
I think might be over, but there are also other people.
understand.
There were actually sometimes like other 5 people who were helping, like collecting the funds for these imprisoned Hong Kongers. And he then also he took part in the 2014 Occupy Central protest, and he was calling for the universal suffrage. So he's very outspoken, but the Communist Party is afraid of touching him because he's old.
Yes, that
He can become a martyr. He can become
Yeah,
the next
that-
martyr.
could be something
So-
that they would rather
But
avoid.
they are afraid.
Yeah.
They are afraid of touching him. Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
so, that's Cardinal
like
Zan.
we were saying before, or what you mentioned, yeah, you can see this is a funny comparison. You can see the number of, especially Protestant believers grow here, a lot.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Obviously, when you contrast with the
Yes.
Communist Party members, because the percentual membership remains static. About 8% of China's population might be in the Communist Party, I believe.
The party is doing something
Yeah,
wrong.
you can't grow it forever.
They estimated in 1980 there were 10 million Christians in
You
China.
can see, I mean, you can see a sharp growth
And
here.
2000,
Yeah.
27 years later, 60 million Christians in China. They are growing at a rate of 7% per year. And they believe that the next 10 years there will be more Christians in China than any other nation on earth. So by 2040, there might be almost 600 million Christians in China. It's half of the population.
So this, perhaps this is why the party might be concerned about this development.
I don't think they can
Yeah, I
stop
mean
it.
that's
I know lots of people, they come to me, they say, oh, I'm Christian. And when I ask them, I say, what are you? Are you Catholic or Protestant? They don't know. They don't care. They don't care. They just know that I believe in Jesus, and she's praying and she's doing everything, but they are not very deep, right? They don't know a lot.
I guess
Probably
it
they
depends,
read Bible
but
and
these might be
stuff.
some people, who like the idea. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they just like it. They're Christians. Doesn't mean they know everything. They don't need to know. They don't believe how important it is. Like if somebody tells you I'm a Buddhist, but many people are kind of like a mixture of Buddhism, Confucianism, and this
Yeah, so
ancestral worship.
mostly it's under Taoism, but there is some distinction, let's say, between Taoism and Chinese folk religions. But it's
Yeah, but it's
also
like
a lot of the or some practices, might blend in or move from one one belief, one faith to another.
Hmm. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop them. They just believe they are Christians, and
I mean,
Christians they
yes,
are,
yeah,
right?
self-identification is all that you yeah, you need to
Uh-huh.
believe. Yeah. Here we
Uh-huh.
see it.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Here we
right,
see
right.
yeah, here we see what you just mentioned. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this killed
Let's look
pastor's
at that.
wife.
Local authorities
Oh,
in
okay.
China now admit property housing a church in Henan province belongs to the church. The admission came after the pastor's wife was killed when workmen attempted to demolish the church building. On April 14th, Ding Tui Mei was buried alive as she tried to shield the church from bulldozers. China's aide, Bob Fu, said authorities made the right decision to resolve the land dispute, but he says those responsible for Ding's death must be held accountable and a fair investigation must be conducted for justice to prevail.
Well, I mean, yes, you know. Why did she have to die?
This is like a herd mentality that I notice that many Chinese people, if they are backed by some officials, they feel like they have some kind of power, and they are not shy to exercise the power because they believe that they are protected by these officials who gave them the order.
Yeah,
So I can
what you
see
mean.
how this guy sitting in the bulldozer was kind of like fighting for the course, because at some point he believed this is his own personal course. So instead of stopping the bulldozer and say, come on, just maybe it
Right.
was some private contractor, who knows? But he should stop and say, listen, I am not going to kill this woman. Just you removed her, or I'm just going
That
home.
would have been the right thing to
He
do,
didn't, and he
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now he will go to prison. He got orders, and he thought he's covered. No, he's not. No, he will be the next
Yes,
victim.
well, that the
He will
official
be
isn't
blamed
going
for
to,
everything.
or rather, he's the construction worker will receive the blame rather than the official, possibly. Depends on how
Yeah, official.
big of a
Actually,
problem
as
it's
the
going to
report
become
says, they
for
said
the local government.
official didn't have problem. The construction worker in the
Right,
bulldozer had
yeah.
made a mistake.
Sure.
They said it already. It was done. It's done. It's done. It's done. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
shocking thing.
Here is a short
What
report
do we have here?
on Christianity in China.
Okay.
So it mentions, that about 97 million people might be Christians. Yeah, maybe it's not that easy to count, because how do you count the
No, it's not. You can't
underground
count
churches
it.
and believers? Um,
Even China cannot count anything, and they have all the means. You know how to. If you ask how many people live in China, they don't know. They say 1.4, but they say probably it's more like 1.2.
it's
How
a
can
bit
it be
big,
like that? Probably
kind of a
short
big
of 200 million
discrepancy.
people.
Yes.
They don't
Yeah.
know how. It's kind of shocking. If you live in any other country, they know exactly how many, except the illegal probably immigrants. But you know exactly how many people live there. China doesn't. China doesn't care. Plus minus 200 million. Yeah.
So we can see that you know a lot of the underground Christians, they might not they might be careful about you know mixing in or attending too much the official things because, well,
There might be a limit.
yes, yeah,
Probably
maybe
if
there
there are
shouldn't
like
be too
groups
many
of
of
20 people
them.
gathering
Then it's
together,
become a little bit too.
there is a policeman standing in plain clothes, standing outside the apartment and watches everybody who comes in, and he knows how many people can come in. So there
It's
are like a
possible, yeah.
limits, I think. Yeah, yeah. Imagine if 100 people gather somewhere, they would get arrested.
Yeah. So, and some of these people, they get persecuted. Yeah.
Oh, they do all the time. All the time. Everybody was in prison at some point of these people.
It's been estimated here by someone that more than 1,200 crosses were taken down from Christian buildings. So churches and
Which means
anything else.
1,200
Yeah.
churches.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And some people have been arrested.
Activists, lawyers.
So, not a very positive development.
Xi Jinping took power, it's getting worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seems like that. So this is based on destruction of a church in Wenzhou.
I think
There
this
was a
church was
debate.
first approved. They have everything. And they built the church,
Yeah,
and then the
yeah,
government said
yeah.
overnight that, nah, we don't like it. Take it down. They changed their mind.
They changed their mind.
I know how difficult it is
Well,
to
I
build a
think
church.
there's a religious revival going on in China. The first 30 odd years of economic reforms saw people get wealthy, but now people are looking at other issues, finding deeper meaning, finding new values for their life. Religion is part of that. So we're seeing an expansion of all the established religions in China.
And obviously, the Communist Party might not be very happy about that.
I don't know what they want right now. What do you
Good
want?
question. Well, one thing they
They want to
certainly
push everybody underground?
oh,
I don't think so.
want. That's the yeah. No, they want to retain control. I think that's
They already
the main
have
priority
control.
for the Chinese
They
ruling
already
elite.
have control.
Yes, but they want to retain it.
If you are a
But
Communist
whether
Party
this-
member, you have to sign a paper, officially declare that you don't believe in religion or anything. You just believe in the party officially. So what else do they want? Do they want people to get them out of the church?
So, yeah, and some researchers they say that the political threat of Christianity has been exaggerated by some officials, but some officials at the top, they might share these beliefs. They might also be worried about this.
Yeah. They don't see Christianity as a threat. Okay, let's listen to this guy.
350万。
We had 3.5 million. Now, the official statistics
现在
are
的官方数字呢是600
around
万、
6 or
700多万。
7 million.
我们
Maybe.
感觉超过了1000多万。那基督教呢，在解放以前呢，只有70-80万、70万或者80万信徒。那么在改革开放之后的30年之后的今天，官方的数字就是2300万。
Maybe he says 23 million right now. After the economic reforms. Well done.
Yeah. Okay. So we see what has been leaked out of some government reports on the realization of handling of illegal religious buildings was that the priority was maybe still is, or certainly around 2014-15 was to remove crosses on this sounds very like a reverse Potemkin village to me, because it says on both sides of expressways, national highways and provincial highways, so that people who are driving on the highway, they can't see them.
Right.
It's
Okay.
sounds
This is from
borderline
6 years
ridiculous
ago.
to
So
me.
right now, the Chinese Christian population could be between 50 to 100 million people already. Just
Yeah, I mean,
In the case of the church,
more
so
than-
it was an
yes.
official.
more than the party members. China has like 90 million party members, and if it has 100 million Christians, yeah, there are more Christians than party members right now.
church, an officially approved church, but it was in what was
Maybe
gonna be
some
the
of them
central-
are Christians and party members.
yeah, yeah, also.
Is this a church that was demolished?
business district for
Let's see.
Wenzhou, which is one of the most economically dynamic cities in China.
Yeah, you can see here. I think this is the building
And it
that
was
was
right
taken down.
next to a highway, very prominent. And I think the local officials just thought, this is not the symbol that we want for our new economic.
It seems like this, or one possibility is that this kind of a policy might have been sort of realized by someone at the provincial level, so that they don't feel embarrassed when officials are driving along the highway to Wenzhou, and they would think like, this is not good. You're not gonna get promoted anymore.
Zone.
但是我
Okay.
可以肯定的，
So, yeah. The Chinese government would never demolish a church
我们
randomly.
中国的政府呢不会呢随随便便的去拆一座教堂，除非这个教堂在建设过程当中就是不合法的，就是说我们所说的违章建筑。
Illegal, unauthorized construction. But
She said in 2013 about about 2 volumes on Confucianism. I need to read these books very carefully.
I'm sure he will.
This is
Yeah.
quote. He hasn't decided whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
He
You can
he
see
has the
though.
authority. He is the enlightened one who decides whether the books are good for
Yes.
his people or not. That's shocking.
You can see though that he could be thinking, well, if I can't stop the growth of religion completely, I can at least encourage something that is more Chinese, because I don't know.
It's such a nonsense.
The other religions, I think the government is much happier to see Buddhism, folk religion, Taoism grow. They give land to those temples if they want to expand. They give them direct government subsidies or soft loans. They encourage people to participate and give them awards and even a bit of pocket money to go and perform at the fairs. This is all a sign that the government thinks that if you have to be religious, it would be better to be in one of the traditional Chinese religions.
政府如果提倡这个，这至少是一件好事。大家呢都能心里边能放得开。
Now, of course, this is only supported if this is all sanctioned by the state religious authorities. The Taoist organization, the Buddhist organization, the Muslim organization as well.
是吧？你要政府要限制你，那你不是就不能搞了吗？对吧？你看多年以前我咱们那。
During the Cultural Revolution, they didn't allow us to do this. It was considered superstition. So they seems like they've relaxed a bit.
Improvement.
Yes, what a
那会儿根本就不让你搞，是吧？说你这封建迷信不让你搞，所以说你就搞不了。
I think the overall sense that you get is that the government is uncomfortable with the space that religion is starting to take in Chinese society. And it's especially uncomfortable with the amount of space, literal physical space, but also the space in the war of ideas in China right now that religions like Protestant Christianity are taking. They see it as an ideological opponent, and they want to take measures to curb it. I don't think this is an anti-Christian campaign that's going to result in tearing down of hundreds of churches across China. It's not like that, but it is a symbolic shot across the bow against especially Protestant Christianity, that the government is watching it and will take measures when it feels threatened.
So it seems like the government is trying to, give them a lesson. Teach them a lesson. Either obey, or it could be worse. We can demolish churches.
Oh yeah, there will be punishment.
Remove crosses.
Yeah. There will be a punishment.
And as we've seen, this affects the lives of individuals as well. Yeah. Here's another example: China closing Christian churches in Easter crackdown. So around major holidays.
Easter time 5 years ago.
Major Christian holidays.
2018.
You have to know where to look. Hidden in a block of flats, behind a bolted door. This is what faith looks like in China.
So these are members of an underground church meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Or at least they're
They are called.
they're meeting they're meeting together in not in that official
it's not
church.
Exactly illegal. See, they are not exactly hiding like during the Roman times, right? You can imagine that in Rome, the Christians hide in the catacombs. No, they are not.
Good point.
They are not. They know the rules and regulations. They are just dancing in between them. They are using every possible hole. When to gather, how to gather, for how long time they can be together, how to sell Bibles, how to get the Bibles, how to redistribute the Bibles between themselves. They know all these details, and many of them go to prison, not for a long time, maybe for a few months or maybe 1-2 years, but they are already ready for this. They know this is their faith.
Understand.
Xu Yonghai has run this underground church in Beijing since 1989. He's been to prison or re-education through labor camps 3 times because of his beliefs.
So brave. These people are so brave.
But these are the darkest days he's known, as the Chinese Communist Party stamps down on any version of religion that doesn't acknowledge its
Many of the
supremacy.
human rights activists, they come from these underground churches.
我们主耶稣，我们是高举爱呀，我们是连仇敌都爱，他高举街头扔，高举这个，最起码他当年把这些个牧师长老抓起来，都是因为这些敌人，这都是帝国主义侵略中国的被利用的工具，肯定是我们都能感觉到宗教不自由。
China is officially an atheist state, with freedom of religion guaranteed in the constitution. State-sanctioned churches do exist, but the power and glory belongs to the party. It keeps tight control. Worshippers are registered, CCTV cameras fitted, and the Bible is even being retranslated by the government to ensure what they call correct understanding.
我们是什么情况？你们把人带到哪里了？告诉我，我是妻子。
It seems like they're are they detaining someone?
Yes, they are taking somebody away.
丈夫带到哪里？请告诉我。
But unofficial churches were tolerated, until recently. Police closed this one by force in Chengdu, southwest China, in December last year. This
You can see the person was seemed to be holding up a police badge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this seems to be in
Beijing church was
Could be in
also shut
Beijing.
down in another raid last year, after its leaders refused to install CCTV cameras.
You used to get throngs of worshippers coming here. It was one of the
Right.
biggest underground churches in China. And now there's not much left to see. We tried to go and they said, well, there's nothing here. Then we said what we wanted to see. They said the police have shut it down. And in any case, the lift isn't stopping at the 3rd floor. There's no trace left.
So that's weird. So it's whatever happened to the 3rd floor? But I mean, you know, most of the people they might still meet somewhere else. You know?
And that's what people practicing Christianity in China fear. They'll simply be scrubbed from existence.
And in March this year, another famous church with a congregation 1,000 people strong was banned. Afterwards, they pledged to hold a prayer meeting in a public square in Beijing. We also went, but the square was simply shut down by authorities. The few brave enough to come here were quietly escorted away. Undercover police officers followed us while we filmed, then approached.
Hi, sir. Hey, it's not good. Why?
Not good. What kind of an explanation is that? Well, either you can do or can't do something. You know, when do you hear the police telling you, this is not good?
Yeah, it's the
Police
grey
station
law.
opposite Pastor Shu's home church. He says it was built to keep watch over him.
Yeah, so this is a little police station.
Everyone exists in a state of paranoia. The faithful worried for their liberty, but also the Communist Party itself, which sees threats everywhere, even here.
我们可能没有，我们没有平安，也可能不知道我们未来是什么。
Saying that we have no certainty. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen in the future.
They are ready for it.
看不到平安，但是呢，我们能看到我们要忍耐，
Yeah, I
多
think
么
so.
艰难都要忍耐，坚忍下来。
They are ready to go to prison tomorrow.
And persist they will. But only as long as the
If
party
you get
lives.
ready for something, you
From
stop
Cheshire,
worrying
Sky
too
News,
much.
Beijing.
Let me see what else we have here. Here's another explanation. Why
Again,
China's
6 years.
growing number of Christians fear Xi Jinping's tightening grip on power, because obviously this, you know, might bring more control, more centralized control.
Choose to worship God you are accepting you will be watched by the police.
Because they can go to
Church
prison.
and these growing congregations have been accused of undermining devotion to the Communist Party, with President Xi warning they could be a conduit for foreign infiltration.
That's what they're worried about, really? Foreign infiltration? Obviously, it's not that. It's you know, the people not believing the Communist Party as much anymore, right? I mean, if you have more religious believers, then you know the Communist Party starts to kind of lose its reason for existence. What is it giving people anymore? You know?
Yeah.
As the Sunday morning service got underway at the Early Rain Presbyterian Church, 2 uniformed officers arrived to check on the congregation. They focused on the overspill rooms, which are a reflection of how much this gathering in Chengdu has grown. More and more Chinese people are turning to Christianity despite a government crackdown. New laws have been introduced which give the state greater control over religious meetings, their message and their members. Despite the risks, Pastor Wang Yi continues to use his sermons to condemn the regulations.
We pray, God, please let us be prepared to face persecution when it happens.
In the past year, a number of church leaders have been arrested, and Pastor Wang fears he could be next.
I need to prepare my brothers and sisters for possible persecution. They might be arrested soon. This church might be closed. Someone might lose their job because of their belief. Some who work for the government might be investigated for their participation in the church.
In January, officials in Shaanxi province ordered the Golden Lampstand Church to be demolished. A building permit violation was used as justification for blowing it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sure that this was the main concern.
Hundreds of churches have been destroyed or closed, and thousands of others have had their crosses forcefully removed.
There is intentionally nothing marking out the entrance to the Early Rain Presbyterian Church. Its congregation meets on the 23rd floor of this high-rise in central Chengdu. Freedom of religion may be guaranteed in China's constitution, but it's one of thousands of house churches forced to hide from sight by a communist party that views Christianity as a threat.
But still, every week more Christians are being baptized. We spoke to some of the newest members of the congregation, including Yang Yang, whose family object to the church.
Chinese families are influenced mostly by traditional culture and object to Christian belief, so it's very difficult for me at home.
They described finding a trust in God that they no longer have in the government.
I do believe no matter how much they prosecute Christianity and churches in China, we will grow bigger.
Of course we are afraid, but since we chose the church, we are willing to go ahead no matter how difficult it is.
But as he closed the National People's Congress today, the president declared only socialism can lead to China's national rejuvenation. Having cemented his power, Xi Jinping appears determined to ensure his people pledge an allegiance only to the Communist Party. Debbie Edward, News at 10, Chengdu.
So here we can see the board members clapping.
Yeah. Yeah, they are worshipping Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping is their god.
Well, he's the one that they have to listen to for the time being, and unfortunately, their fortunes might rely on how well they can handle things in their province. So I wouldn't be surprised if you would have some officials in the future come up with these bright ideas like demolishing crosses, to make the number of believers in the province look smaller.
Right,
right. This is basically what it was in simple terms. Obviously, it was a lot worse than that for the individual people, but
visually, yeah,
it's extremely superficial.
Yeah, Chabudo system, like something must be done, but just at least a little bit.
You can keep some. You can keep our Lord here, but replace the picture.
Yes.
Yes. It is borderline ridiculous. Yeah.
It is
you
ridiculous.
You can keep the churches, but remove the crosses at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I hope nothing is going to happen to people who want to have religious freedom in China. But
there are too many of them now. Now there are too many of them. They cannot put them in concentration camps like what they did with the Uyghurs. So, and basically for no reason.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They can control it. They can demolish some churches. They can somehow remove the welfare from the people or sanction their, I don't know, children, not allow them to go to some schools or whatever. But they cannot persuade it. They cannot change the people's hearts.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, how would they how to do that? It's not that easy.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, brother Tito.
You're welcome, brother Trabant.
Let's pray together for the Communist Party, just like the Chinese Christians prayed for their enemies, and their biggest enemy is the party.
Essentially, yes. I mean,
they don't have a bigger enemy than the CCP, and they know that, and they pray for them. They pray for their hearts to change, and for their minds to open, and for Xi Jinping, to melt his cruel heart, made of cheap steel, like from Mao Zedong's era, and hope it will bring some fruits.
I mean,
and they will be free.
Obviously, change will come at some point, but hopefully not at the expense of people suffering because of their freedom.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So thank you. God bless you.
You're welcome, brother Trabant.
All right.
I will see you again.
Yeah, see you again sometime.
Take care and see you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.